Hello, my name is Morgan Corson. You are listening to the Me, Myself, and I podcast, where I usually talk about, well, me, myself, and I, but today is a special episode of the podcast, as I have Dr. Matthew Binford on the show, so he's going to be talking about he, himself, and him today. So I heard you went to MTSU, is that correct?
I did go to Middle Tennessee State University. Go Blue Raiders.
And what did you do at MTSU, or MTSU, excuse me?
Yeah, so I did a lot at MTSU. I was a student there. I was a student there. I went to a lot of classes. I also was very active in the student television channel, the TV station at MTSU. At MTSU, we had a full-on TV station that was completely student-run. I was a production manager, and I produced a newscast, and I helped produce other original programming, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Did you have any jobs while you were in school, or was it just school?
Yeah, so my kind of regular job was I worked at a national park in Murfreesboro, Stones River National Battlefield. And then I also was a freelancer. I freelanced doing video production of all types. And so I worked as a freelancer. Sometimes, that meant taking a camera out somewhere and shooting. I remember I did like a dance competition, which was really, weird. But then also I even got a chance to do a lot of like traveling. So I started working for a company called Roca Video, which was a company that not technically like a subsidiary of Univision, but they were a company that only worked with Univision. And did like LED video systems for Univision. So I got to go to Miami a bunch. I got to go to Vegas, LA, New York with Roca Video, doing Univision shows, which was a ton of fun and very much more lucrative than my $10 an hour job at the national park. So yeah, those were. And then, I freelanced in a bunch of other capacities too, doing sports and live music in Nashville and everything.
Right. And you spoke about doing stuff for Univision, and they do a lot of award shows. Have you did any award shows with Univision?
Yeah, that was most of what I did with Univision. My first ever, it was the summer. Yeah, it was over the summer before my senior year. So I had just finished my junior year. And as soon as the school year wrapped up, I flew out to Miami. And that year, it was a show called Premio Juventud, which I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. And yeah, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I knew that it was going to be a different type of video job than I'd ever done before. It was it was an LED tech video job. And I, at the time, really didn't even know what that meant. But I went in and realized that, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I was just very determined to be the most hardworking person on our crew to try to make up for my lack of experience. And I think that really showed because they kept asking me back. So I did Premio Juventud. Later in the summer, I went back down to Miami and did some, not an award show, but just some studio work, putting LED walls and LED backgrounds in some of their studios for like their sport. They have like similar to like an ESPN Sports Center. They were like changing. Yeah, so I went back later on in the summer and did that. And then I've done the Latin Grammys several times. I've done Premio Lo Nuestro several times.
Who all have you been on tour with working for the past, I guess, few years?
Yeah, so my very first tour was with Sarah Bareilles. And that was honestly the perfect tour to start out on. I like to joke that I was the video crew chief because I was the only traveling video person, which put me in charge of the video team, right? And yeah, that was a relatively small tour, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about video production. I learned a lot about projection, and I learned that I never really wanted to be a projection work in projection again. But I actually enjoyed touring a lot more than I thought I would. I originally did it just because I had a friend reach out. He told me he needed someone to take this gig and that it wouldn't be horrible. And so I was like, you know what, it's just a couple months. I can do this. I don't really want to tour forever, at that point I didn't want to tour at all. But I went ahead and did it. I started out with Sarah Bareilles. After Sarah Bareilles, I did Andrea Bocelli, the classical Italian tenor. And then after Andrea Bocelli, actually directly after Andrea Bocelli, I did not even go home. I went straight from our last show in Seattle on Andrea Bocelli to I flew into Newark, New Jersey, and met up with the Weird Al tour in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And then I was with Weird Al for the rest of that summer, into that fall, and then had some time off, and then went back out with Al again, and went to I got a chance to tour around Australia and New Zealand with Al, which was honestly, I think that if people were to ask me what my favorite tour was, I would probably say that Australia run with Weird Al Yankovic, because so many of the crew were just I was so close with, and the job was really easy and a lot of fun. And come on, I was touring around Australia with Weird Al Yankovic. It was so much fun. Then we came back to the States. We did some more touring. I was with Weird Al for a year. And then after Weird Al, I toured with 21 Pilots. I was with them all at the beginning of 2016, all of 2016 and most of 2017. So I was with them for right on 2 years. And and technically that encompassed 3 tours. So I was there. I joined at the end of their Blurry Face run when they were in small theaters. And then after Blurry Face, we started the Emotional Roadshow, which I did 2 legs of that tour. And that we were in big arenas. So I started out, we were in these smaller theaters, and then we went to these big arenas, and that was such a journey, because I followed their kind of rise in popularity. And I'm not even sure how popular they are now, but they were very popular for just a hot second, I guess. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun too. And I was with some pretty good guys out there. I also was the video director for the Sam Hunt Country Music Tour while I worked at Western. That was kind of just worked out that I was able to go during a summer break and be the director for Sam. And so I did that and was grateful for the extra paycheck.
While on tour overall, what was your favorite thing that you've done, job or just tasks? What's your favorite thing?
So, okay, maybe this isn't the answer you were looking for, because it's not super serious. But on the Weird Al tour, we had it was a little different than a 21 Pilots tour where we have these huge IMAX screens, right? So I wasn't on camera or directing for the entire thing. We had a lot of camera gags. And so we had this opening camera move that we did, which was really fun. We had several other camera gags in the show where instead of showing video content on the video screen, it would show a camera feed from a camera that I would run out on stage with, and he would talk or sing directly to the camera. But because of that, I wasn't running camera or doing video work the entire show. So that actually freed me up to be kind of just an extra set of hands during the show. And so this is so stupid, but I thought it was fun. And so much fun that back when I still used Facebook, I changed my job title on Facebook to Weird Al's Bubble Tech instead of Video Tech, because part of my job was to run out at various parts of the concert and grab these huge bubble machines and run with them off stage, pour more bubble fluid in them, and then take them back out and plug them in. And then I also would turn on the bubble machines side stage and be responsible for these just cascades of bubbles out. I also did that for confetti streamers. And there was even once where I got the 2 buttons mixed up. And so when we were supposed to it was at the Montreal Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. And when I got the bubble cue, I accidentally shot off the confetti streamers.
All right. So we're going to move to teaching.
All right.
Why did you choose to leave the tour community and start teaching?
All right. So there are 2 reasons to that. One, so when I was kind of outlining my history and touring, I neglected to say that I was actually getting a master's degree during that time. So I worked, but it was kind of funny. I was on the Andrea Bocelli tour when I like officially turned in my master's thesis. And then on my graduation day, I was on the Weird Al tour, and they like had a little mock graduation for me on a stage. But yeah. So, and something that I actually really enjoyed in my master's program that I never really would have thought about beforehand was the research component to it. I actually really enjoyed the research. Yeah, when I was doing it, I had a professor my master's thesis advisor, who told me like, hey, like, it seems like you enjoy this. He liked one of the papers that I wrote a lot, and he was like, you should consider getting a PhD sometime. So I thought, I'd thought about it, and I knew that I wanted to come back to it. And then I was on the 21 Pilots tour, and I was exhausted. And me and the video crew chief and the lighting crew chief and the video director, we were all sitting, and one of the other video techs, we were sitting at a bar in Topeka, Kansas. And we were just sitting there at our table, and none of us were talking. And the video crew chief goes, y'all, I'm exhausted. And we all just kind of like, yeah. And then he goes, we can't like do this forever. He was like, what's our exit plan? And I was like, I think my exit plan is to go get a PhD. And so I went up to my room in my hotel room in Topeka, Kansas. Again, it was a day off, so we had a hotel. And I like started writing a personal statement for grad school. I kind of like sent the application in, not necessarily thinking, I was kind of like, all right, well, like I'm going to send it in because and just see what happens. But I don't know if like it'll work out. I probably won't actually go. A couple months later, we get word from like Tyler and Josh, the band, that at the end of that year, they were going to stop touring for a while to like work on another album. And it was also around that time when I heard that I got into UGA, the University of Georgia. And I thought, you know what? Maybe this is what I should do. I know I want to go back to school. I enjoyed the research. I went back to grad school, and I am very grateful for that decision because I really enjoyed grad school. I loved UGA, and I have really enjoyed life after grad school as well. I love teaching. I love Western. And yeah, some days I do admittedly miss the paychecks, but I love the work that I'm doing. I love working with students, and I enjoy doing research. So,
what's the most rewarding thing about teaching?
The most rewarding thing about teaching is watching the students actually get it. The most frustrating thing about teaching is watching the students not get it. But so, for example, when I came to Western in 2021, we didn't really have the capability to do a lot of programs like live television programs or even recorded programs out of the TV studio. And part of that is just because like COVID had happened. And so like people hadn't actually had a chance to get into the TV studio. Yeah. So that first semester I was here, I think we did 2 shoots, and I had to be very involved to just get them up and running. But as every semester since then, I'm getting less and less hands-on in the actual like production of content in the TV studio. And it's been so exciting to just see it snowball and grow and see all the cool stuff that our students can do and all the like experimenting and trying new things that they do. And yeah, that's been really rewarding. I think at this point I tell the students after every like big successful show that I stay for, like, hey, what I'm proudest of is that I'm able to sit in the back of the room and not have to take a super hands-on approach. Like they can do this without me. And in fact, they do it without me all the time. I used to go to every single show and well, now I don't, but they don't need me to anymore. And I don't know. I would love for the club to keep growing.
That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for listening to this week's episode of the Me, Myself, and I podcast. I promise next week it'll be about me. My name is Morgan Corson. Next week's episode is going to be on my favorite types of music and my favorite TV shows and movies. We'll see you guys next week.